What's up, guys? AJ Legends here once again, and we're going to be covering the 2009 reboot of Friday the 13th. Now, before I get started, I want to make it clear that this is going to be a different type of video. Instead of this being a review, I'm going to make a case for this movie. I think this movie is extremely underrated and doesn't deserve the hate that a lot of people have given it. So I'm making this video as a defense case for this film, because I do think that there's a lot of good to it. I'll point out some of the flaws I think it has, and I'll point out what I think are the bright spots I think it has. This is going to be a defense video for what I think is an underrated movie. Okay, let's waste no time. Let's get started with this, and we're going to start off at the top. We're going to start off with how Jason is portrayed. This time around, Jason is portrayed by Derek Mears, and I think Derek Mears was really good as Jason. He took different Jasons like Brooker and Ted White and Kane Hodder, and he mended them all together. But he also put his own spin on it by making Jason by giving Jason a little bit more pathos, a little bit more, a sympathetic vibe to it, but not being overly done with it. So I like that whole take. Now, of course, a lot of people have given Jason hate in this movie. They say Jason doesn't have hair. They say Jason doesn't run. They say Jason acts too much like Rambo. To which I say, you clearly have never watched a Friday the 13th movie if you're saying these things. Parts 2, 3, and 4, Jason ran. Part 2, Jason had hair. That motherfucker had fucking hair. Watch the end of that movie. When he comes crashing through the window to grab Ginny, I see hair. I see a lot of hair. Boom. Done. Your case is minuscule compared to my answer just now, because I have proof. I've given you proof to these claims that you want to hold on to. How he doesn't have hair, how he doesn't run. 2, 3, and 4, he's clearly running. Part 2, he has hair. They say Jason acts too much like Rambo. And, well, guess what? Jason is territorial. He's protecting his territory. That is Crystal Lake. That is his home. That is all he knows. Parts 2, 3, maybe not 3, but part 2. There is a line that Paul said that Jason lives off the land and will ward off anyone who comes on his land. Again, you've just been refuted. The proof is in the movies. The proof is in the classic movies. Throwaway lines or not, the lines were said. And the character said it. He said it during the campfire scene where he's telling the story of Jason. He said Jason lives off the land and will kill anyone who comes on his land. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you claim to be a fan, yet you never see that you're acting like you've never seen these movies. What, did you start at part 6 and then work your way up and you forget that there are other movies? Okay, I'm just saying. They say that they make Jason too sympathetic in this movie. Now, if you are actually familiar with the Jason character, you would know, just by the previous films, he has a built-in sympathetic backstory. He was mentally deformed. He was picked on. He was abused. The counselors didn't watch him while he drowned. That's sympathetic without being too sympathetic with it. What, because in this movie Jason has one scene when he's welding his machete that he has a flashback to his mother's death? The man is mentally deformed. His only friend was his mother. His only connection to life was his mother. How would you feel if you're Jason with mental disabilities, and the only person that ever cared for you and loved you was your mother, and you see that person die? How would that make you feel? Thank you. Come at me, motherfucker. I like that scene because it shows that because this new movie takes Jason back to his more grittier, more realistic roots before he was a zombie, before he was a supernatural force. In parts 2, 3, and 4, Jason was still a human being who could withstand a lot of damage. It was never hinted at that he was a supernatural force. He always came across as a human being. This movie went back to that. I think that's actually more scarier than him being a supernatural force. Because you have this mental crazy guy who's coming after you, and you don't know why he's coming after you. To me, that's more scarier than some supernatural force coming after you. That's just me. I do love supernatural Jason, but I also love more grounded, realistic Jason. They say this movie didn't have good enough kills. Are you brain dead? This movie had great kills. The scene where he has that girl in the sleeping bag and puts her over a fire. That shit was brutal to watch. The whole opening 20 minutes of the reboot is the best 20 minutes in possibly any Jason movie. It was intense. It had suspense. It had good directing by Marcus Nispel, who I think is very underrated. You had awesome cinematography by Daniel Pearl, who worked on the original Chainsaw movie and the remake. The acting was solid. Wasn't nothing fantastic. This is a Jason movie. Jason movies were never known for high quality acting. But what acting was there was good. I wasn't bothered by it. No, the kids acted like kids in a Friday the 13th movie. They want to have sex. They want to camp. They want to fool around. They want to get some weed. I don't understand what the problem is, people. Please enlighten me why this movie gets so much hatred. Because it's Platinum Dunes? Because it's Michael Bay? That is not a good enough excuse. I am not a fan of Michael Bay. I'm not a hardcore fan of Michael Bay, but I don't hate the guy to where everything he makes I think is shit. Because it's not true. I like Bad Boys 1 and 2. I like the two Platinum Dunes Chainsaw movies. I thought they were pretty good. I like this movie. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a good Jason movie. Something that we hadn't gotten in a very, very long time. Because from part 8 to part 10, that was a good long stretch of really bad solo Jason movies. Freddy vs. Jason doesn't count because that's a crossover. Jason by himself has not been in a good movie since 1988 when the New Blood came out. Okay? That was 21 years since we had a good solo Jason movie. What, the characters, you didn't like the characters in this movie? Ding dong dumb dick. The characters in Jason movies were always archetypes. This movie was just following the rules that were set up in previous films. Of course, this movie tried to give them some personalities. I liked the characters of Lawrence and Chewie, the two stoners. I thought they were hilarious. And I thought their chemistry was good. Because to me, they felt like genuine friends. I liked the character of Jared Padalecki, who was an amalgamation of Rob Dyer from Part 4 and Tommy Jarvis. And I liked that this movie tried to mirror the Trisha and Jarvis relationship with Clay and his sister Whitney. Of course, it wasn't done that great, but I admired that they tried to do something with that. They tried to give this movie a story. By having Clay Miller, look for his sister. That's what Rob Dyer was doing. You have two characters with a similar story. Jason did something to their family, and they want to try and find him. And Clay Miller's case, he wants to find his sister. What? Now I understand that people don't like the idea of Jason kidnapping. To me, I actually like it. Remember, Jason's mentally deformed. He doesn't know any better. He only knows whatever knowledge he has came from his mother. And the movie tried to play off the fact that, Whitney and his mother looked very similar. So when he saw Whitney, in his mind, he sees his mother. What am I missing here? Seriously. And this movie did a good job of recreating some kills without being ripped off. You get the classic, arrow, fire poke to the eye type deal, and you get like a little nice little, Bill moment how the guy's like stabbed through a door. It's good. Doesn't bother me. I wasn't raging on this movie because of that. And I also liked how at the end of the movie, Jason pops up from the lake, which is, a nice callback to parts 1, 2, and 3, where you had a final jump scare. This movie was just paying an homage to the original 3 movies where it had those classic jump scares to get that one final pop from the audience. What is so wrong with that? What is wrong with that? It's a Jason movie. They were known to have stuff like that. They're known to have cardboard cutout characters. And yet this movie gets all the hatred because it was just following the formula that was set up before it. And this movie tried to do something a little different, a little different things, by giving more pathos to Jason as a character. And I have to hate this because of that? No, I like it. It's refreshing. You're doing something new while still staying in the confines of the rules that were established previously. Because you're not making Jason overly sympathetic. You're making him just the right amount sympathetic while still maintaining the fact that he's a cold-blooded killer who is to be feared whenever you see him. Jason has come into that territory of pop culture where we root for him. This movie was still maintaining his badassery because it knows that the fans are going to root for Jason to kill people. But it was still maintaining his badassery. And he had a lot of cool moments. Derek Mears, to me, gave a very underrated performance that's overlooked because people hate this thing so much. He had a good presence to him. He had a good menace to him. He was imposing. I give Derek a lot of credit. He's one of my favorite Jasons, next to Kane Hodder and Ted White, and C.J. Graham. I think Derek did a spectacular job, and I would love to see him come back for round 2. I would love to see Derek Mears, take the mantle that Kane Hodder has created as Jason, while still maintaining his own spin. He did a good job for me. I like Jared Padalecki as the lead guy. I thought he was a good character. Alright? I can admire him, actually doing something, being productive, trying to find his sister. It's a callback to part 4, like I said, with Rob Dyer. And they also throw a little Tommy Jarvis in there with the Sister Act. Again, by Sister Act meaning, the brother and sister working together to stop Jason, which is what happened in part 4. Tommy and Trisha worked together to stop Jason. Yet this movie gets the hate because they claim that it does not follow the Friday the 13th formula. Ooh. Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, they don't follow the Friday the 13th formula. Those 2 movies are the biggest slaps to the face of this franchise. Maybe part 8 too. But you know what? At least part 8 felt like a Friday the 13th movie. Goes to Hell and Jason X did not feel like Friday the 13th movies. This movie to me feels like a Friday the 13th movie. It feels like a modern update of a Friday the 13th movie. And I love it for that. So yes, I like the 2009 reboot. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. I like Derek Mears as Jason. I like Jerry Padalecki's character. I like the 2 stoner characters. I like the way they recreated some of the kills but put their own little spin on it. I like the direction by Marcus Nispel, though in some areas his camera work can get a little shaky here and there. But overall I thought he did a good job at creating some suspense, especially in that first 20 minutes before you even see the title credit. That opening 20 minutes was amazing. It felt like its own little short movie in a way. And it set the tone for what the rest of the movie should have been. I mean, it wasn't like that, but I give it credit. At least it tried to be entertaining, which it was to me. That's it. I got nothing else to say. I like this movie. I think out of all the Platinum Dune remakes and reboots, this to me, along with the 2 Chainsaw movies, stand at the top as being watchable. Or at least decent. 8 out of 10, once again, for this reboot. My name is AJ Legend. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.